Thanks for joining us for GDC Live. I'm Michele Brown, Chief Operating Officer at GDC Marketing and Ideation. And while some feel the day after the Super Bowl should be a national holiday, we think it's a perfect time to get together with friends and not dissect that game. Who watches the game? We want to talk about the ads. So joining us to share their thoughts from the GDC team are Carey Quackenbush, Chief Ideation Officer, and Diego Cantu, our Creative Director. Welcome.
Thanks, Michele.
So this has, we're coming off a challenging year. We're starting the year a bit of a challenge. Football programming in general has actually lost ratings. Why would a brand invest in the Super Bowl?
You know, Michele, I think the answer to that's really pretty similar to why would any marketer do anything, right? I mean, I think, the Super Bowl does still provide a massive audience, even if the numbers are down. It's still, up to 100 million people, right, watch the game. So, it's really, though, a question of, is it the right audience for your brand, right? So any brand and any marketer knows that the key is getting in front of the right people with the right message to do the right thing. So I think it can still be a very powerful way to reach a lot of people. And that's one of the things we saw with some pretty unknown brands this time. Did get a lot of exposure very quickly and very expensively. So again, it really just comes down to, is it the right audience, and where should your marketing dollars really be allocated based on what your budget is, who your audience is, and how you're going to actually follow that up then with much more targeted and strategic marketing efforts.
No, it's a great point. Coke was notably absent, but there was also a lot of opportunity to introduce new brands. Diego, what do you think?
Well, I think it's reach, right? At the end of the day, I mean, why wouldn't you? And like Carey said, we saw a lot of, new brands come into the game and try to reach an audience, and then we saw the big absentees. Coca-Cola was not there. So at the end of the day, no matter what we're going through, and to be honest with you, I thought that the theming or the messaging was going to be completely different, and I was actually very surprised to see that complete turn on theming, or like what I consider was like a big theme throughout. So yeah, I think you got to reach people, and I think the Super Bowl is the best way to do it.
No, completely agree. So let's talk about the thematic. What did you expect going into this, Diego, and what did you feel coming out of it?
I think I was really expecting a lot of like COVID safe production, a lot of like Zoom type of advertising, a lot of like safe distancing, talking about the hole we've been in as a country for a while. And I was actually very surprised to see that, because I think the overall thematic of everything was a very light tone. It almost felt like we were looking at commercials that were ahead of their time, like future commercials, So I thought that was really, really cool. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that light tone. And of course, dude, I mean, Jesus Christ, how many celebrities did we see last night? It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, amazingly, there's lots of folks available when you're in the middle of a pandemic. Carey,
Yeah.
what did you think going in, as far as like a general theme of the spots, and were you surprised or not?
I was surprised, and and I know there's been a lot of people already talking about this. Yeah, I think we were all expecting to see a lot of face masks, a lot of, in these trying times, just kind of the stuff we've been seeing over the last year. And I think it was a big statement to kind of where people are and how they're looking at, the Super Bowl and so forth as an opportunity to kind of think a little bit more optimistically, right? Think beyond what we all know we're going through. We don't have to remind people what we're in right now, right? So we can really kind of feature some lighter times, some better times. There were some very poignant types of spots that were in there too. There was a Special Olympics one, and some of those a little bit more heartfelt types of ads that were run there. So they were able to kind of explore all the emotions there. But I think they did it without the guardrails and kind of the shackles that they've had of making sure it feels COVID safe and so forth. Well, I'm sure they were dealing with all those actual production parameters while they were producing these. So, my hat's off to them for pulling that off. And to Diego's point about the celebrities, it is interesting because now obviously it's a little bit easier to get the celebrities. A lot of Hollywood's a little bit on hold and so forth, so productions are slowed down a lot. But I thought it was interesting, and Diego, I'd love to hear your take on this. Of when is it too many celebrities, right? When does having multiple celebrities in a spot take away from the power that one could bring to the table?
To be honest with you, I think this is going to be a trend. I think we're going to begin to see more and more of this. I think, there's a logic behind marketers trying to tap into the celebrity appeal, social media followers, all that kind of stuff. I do think because, the reality of things is that Hollywood has been shut down for a little bit, and even though it's picking up, you're absolutely right, Carey. I mean, I think there's a lot of availability right now. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the managers and agents right now in Hollywood are saying, well, you know what? Somebody you thought might not be available could actually do it right now. And, that actually takes me to like one, I don't want to call out a specific spot. I think there were two that won the Super Bowl, but, I was actually blown away because I had been trying to do this for a while to see actually Bruce Springsteen in a commercial. Mm-hmm. Because that was like an impossibility. You could just not get to the boss. Yeah. Everybody wants to use Bruce Springsteen for a spot. And when you talk to the managers, they said like, no way, it ain't gonna happen. Mm-hmm. And
that's a really good point. Did you anticipate seeing other people to the level of the boss in these kinds of productions?
No, to be honest, I was floored. To be honest with you, I was floored. Not because I thought the commercial was very political, and actually seeing Bruce Springsteen on a commercial, like really, it was like the only spot that I was like, oh my God, they were able to do that. Funny thing, they shot that spot last Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Say more.
Imagine the turnaround on that, and imagine how fast. I think it was I think Donor is the agency of record for Jeep. I think they were the ones behind it, but kudos to that production team to being able to deliver that. It looked beautiful.
Yeah,
also.
It's good.
It was a beautiful spot.
Politically, oh my God, I think it divided a lot of people. I was reading like Reddit stuff, and like a lot of people were like, "Hey man, kudos to Bruce Springsteen," but don't agree. So
that's interesting. Let's talk a little more about that, maybe, Carey. Do you think that hit higher with folks who grew up with Bruce Springsteen and understand, wow, he just doesn't do this kind of work? It seemed to fall a little bit more flat with a younger audience. Did you notice anything along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see how that is. And there was a little bit of a theme of that as well. There were some references. There were a lot of, a couple throwback to the 80s, 90s references that happened there. And then, of course, the Jeep spot. Really, I do think was playing to an older audience. But again, I think it's anytime you tackle that type of subject matter, even if you're trying to make it about bringing people together and so forth, it's going to be divisive right now. And that's so the question is, does the brand want to take it on, and do they want to, put themselves behind that type of message? So I think it was a bold move. I think it definitely stood out. That was one of the ads that I think when you walk away from it after just seeing the whole thing in the mix of the game and everything, it was one that whether you liked it or not, or whether you agreed with it or not, I think you at least remembered it. And sometimes that is the main goal of a high reach, high impact type of approach like a Super Bowl ad.
There's a chapel in Kansas, standing on the exact center of the lower 48. It never closes. All are more than welcome to come meet here in the middle. It's no secret. The middle has been a hard place to get to lately, between red and blue, between servant and citizen, between our freedom and our fear. Now, fear has never been the best of who we are. And as for freedom, it's not the property of just the fortunate few. It belongs to us all. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, it's what connects us. And we need that connection. We need the middle. We just have to remember the very soil we stand on is common ground. So we can get there. We can make it to the mountaintop, through the desert, and we will cross this divide. Our light has always found its way through the darkness, And there's hope on the road up ahead.
Carey, was there any ads that stuck out in your mind as being a favorite?
Yeah, and I think Diego and I both agree on this, the Reddit one. So I'm going to let Diego talk to that in just a second here. So I'm going to actually go to one that I thought just kind of delivered what I wanted out of a Super Bowl ad. I'm not going to say it was necessarily the best ad. Like I think Reddit and Cheap kind of really kind of pulled out all the stops and really stood out there. But I really enjoyed the M&M's ad, and it was because there wasn't anything super special about it. It was just entertaining. It was an interesting way to take an approach to a food and make it about being sorry. So for those of you who haven't seen it yet, it really is just a conglomeration of people handing out M&M's to say sorry for all the things that they need to say sorry for right now. So, I thought that really kind of delivered on what you look for in a Super Bowl ad. Didn't take itself too seriously, but I thought it was just a different take on that sort of thing.
I feel bad for kicking your seat on purpose.
I'm sorry for mansplaining. That's when a man...
I know what it is.
We should have just told you it's a boy.
I wish you didn't have to hear all that.
Sorry I called you Karen.
That's my name.
Sorry your name is Karen.
I promise I will not eat any more of your friends.
Really?
Okay, it might happen one more time.
Well, and coming with a close on that one with Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek, who just hosted SNL the day before. Yeah. Prior to that, just got nominated for and won a bunch of Emmys. He's kind of a great punchline for a joke right now. So absolutely. That was pretty awesome. I enjoyed that one too. Diego, how about you? What were others that you enjoyed?
I agree with Carey. I think Reddit, it blew me away. I literally had to stop and go online and actually look. And I think that's what a successful commercial is, right? I really enjoyed the Bud Light Legends. It's a personal brand. I used to work on the brand. I thought it was really awesome to see all the icons from past commercials celebrated in such a clever way.
Where's the Bud Light?
It's missing.
What a mess.
Post Malone? Cedric. Medieval people. Johnny.
Dr. Galagos?
Yes, I am.
Still got those moves?
You know it. All right, Bud Light legends. Let's do this.
That's Bud Light. Bud Light.
My bad.
Hey, sing it, real man of genius singer.
That's kind of all I do.
Keep going, guys. Keep it going.
Going up.
High five.
You got it.
Oh!
Yeah, he's not gonna make it.
I loved you, man. All right, let's get out of here.
Oh, we got lights back.
Nice.
The Bud Light Legend saved the day.
Party's in my portal.
I thought it was really cool, and building on pop culture and how they appear, and building on this whole Avengers Endgame type of thing. I thought it was really clever, but Reddit, man, oh Jesus, hats off. It takes an agency like RGA to do that and come up with that, and the subtleness of it, and the little stab at Robin Hood, and the Robin Hood spot had correct me if I'm wrong, it had already aired, right? And then the Reddit
Had not. It ran
came
a little bit later in the game.
It ran a little bit later. So yeah, I was blown away. I think I was trying to actually like reach out and look at like pull some data and numbers of like how many people actually went onto the platform to read or pause. I think people are the data's not there yet, but I'm pretty sure extremely successful advertising.
Yeah. And
so the friends of mine that saw it, they were like, it was perfect for me because I had the remote in my hand and I was able to stop and rewind and pause it and really like just marvel at what just happened. But Carey, what do you think?
I was going to say, it's also just so relevant. You know, that's the other part about it. If they had actually produced a 30-second spot, it probably would have fell flat for what they actually stand for, right? And it is that power to really kind of turn things on its head, right? It's running a Super Bowl almost, you know, against the establishment, right? I mean, the way they did it, it's very different look at it. And that's one thing I will say throughout this, you know, looking at all the production feats that did happen throughout these ads. I mean, we really were just kind of going back to, you know, the formula that's worked in the past and so forth with a lot of the ads. Reddit really turned it on its head. And I think that's why it stood out. And I guarantee you, it probably, I mean, I'm with you, Diego. It's got to be a phenomenal number of how many people went on line after that.
Right. You know, we always have thermometers, right? And yesterday, like I wanted to do an exercise to like actually start like measuring stuff through Clubhouse, through the Clubhouse app. And literally when that spot dropped, you know, you would begin to see all these rooms being created about like, let's talk about that Reddit ad.
Yeah.
So, you know, to me, that's a big win. I think that's the commercial that won it. I thought there were very clever ideas, like big kudos to Procter & Gamble for the Jason Alexander ad. I thought it was hilarious. I thought they used like a 1980s TV theme song applied to the spot.
Hey, you have to wash Jason Alexander hoodie.
It looks clean to me.
Is it though?
Look at what's happened to me. I can't believe it myself. Suddenly I'm up on top of the world. It should have been somebody else.
Be sure to get the bugs off the window.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer.
You owe Jason Alexander hoodie an apology.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air.
Hey, that's my face! You can't just wear my face! My mom told me to say I'm sorry. Give me back my face!
Yeah,
that light-heartedness, we saw a lot of that theming of like light messaging, you know. I thought that was really refreshing. And I think it was an awesome counterpart because the game was so boring that, you know, it's like at least we're looking at...
Unless you were a fan of Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady fans and Tampa Bay fans were feeling all right.
Carey, what about you? Were there other ads that stood out to you?
Yeah, you know, and I really liked that Tide spot as well. I thought that was a lot of fun. Another one that I thought was really interesting, and again, it kind of delivered on what you want out of a Super Bowl spot, was the new Alexa, which basically they could have gone the other angle. They were basically kind of showing the new form utility of the Alexa, which is a very sleek kind of orb-looking device. And so they could have just featured it on that, similar to how, you know, cell phone companies do, just really featuring the technology. But I thought it was really clever how they brought in Michael B. Jordan and really kind of played a little bit of what if Alexa could be housed in an actual person, and what would that be in your fantasy versus somebody else's? I thought that was entertaining, really kind of checked the boxes, but also hit on the one core thing that you would have seen on that creative brief, which is it's the perfect package for Alexa, which I thought was just a really well done by the agency.
It's just flawless, isn't it?
We think so. Yeah.
I mean, I literally couldn't imagine a more beautiful vessel for Alexa to be inside. Alexa, how many tablespoons are in a cup?
There are 16 tablespoons in a cup. Babe, food just got here. Why are you cooking? Who's that?
Alexa, Turn on the sprinklers.
Honey, I already ran the sprinklers. Things are getting way too wet around here.
Alexa, dim the lights.
Alexa, lights up! Alexa, lights up!
Add bath oils to my shopping list.
Alexa, no, don't do that.
Read my audiobook.
I was in his hands. I was being changed.
Yeah.
Realized that I was also kissing him. Honey, other people have to use the bathroom around here too.
Yeah, I love that spot. I thought that spot was brilliant. Mark my words, I think the husband of that ad is going to blow up and he's probably going to be a celebrity soon. Spot on performance. I was like really cracking up. And here's the other thing, going back to the year and everything we've been through, so inclusive, like an African-American commercial that's so engaging and so well produced, to me, those were probably my top three. Personally, I thought the Anheuser-Busch Let's Grab a Beer blew me away because it's David Fincher.
Yeah.
So just executionally, just to see the chops of this man actually shooting a commercial like that. And such an awesome message of a phrase that we never heard this year. It's like, hey, let's go grab a beer.
Yeah. And I thought they took on COVID in the right way, right? They took on the subject matter and on the feelings we're all feeling, but they did it in a way to show, there's meaning behind what we do. When we can now look at things that we took for granted in such a different light. I thought it was very well done as well.
Come on. I'm buying you a beer.
Okay.
What did they say?
Flight crews next door eating pizza.
Here's the new friends.
We used to come here with Eddie. You remember that? I had such a crush on his sister.
We all did. They're gonna go their way, and we're gonna go our way. Lydia, we sure could use your help on this.
Okay.
Congrats.
No, not yet.
It wasn't that noticeable, was it?
Yeah, only if you have ears.
I can't do Friday. I got a date.
Why don't you bring her here?
Come on, let's grab a beer.
Yes.
And really the only one that seemed to, at least that I can remember, seemed to address COVID at all.
There were a couple.
With the exception of maybe Indeed, which talked more about, recovery and jobs and kind of pulled at the heartstrings that way.
It did, but it felt like when I saw the Indeed ad, I was like, oh my God, if you're going to actually go there, and, I would have loved to see the brief, but if you really want, and that's one of my things, and that's always been one of my things. I think if you're going to, play the heartstrings, you really got to go full on.
Yeah.
And the brilliant thing about the Anheuser-Busch spot was that it made you think about how long had it been since you actually said that. Let's go grab a beer. And the power it has to be like, God, I missed that, And it was so cleverly executed and subtly. So yeah, another great ad. To be honest with you, those were the three. I think Jeep because, I was like, wow, the boss is actually going to go there. Reddit for doing what they do, and Anheuser-Busch for reminding us that, it's important to ask somebody to go grab a drink. Those three to me there's honorable mentions, but I think those three ads.
Yeah, it really built like that reminder of a whole sense of community. I enjoyed that one as well. Carey, what do you think your top three are? Just to recap.
Well, it's going to be hard to disagree with what Diego said there. I think those were probably the three most impactful for sure. And so I would say those are kind of the top three. The other ones I think were just the ones that kind of took the Super Bowl formula again and still did it well, right? Still made it seem a little bit new, still made it entertaining, and that's some of the ones we talked about with Tide and Alexa and so forth.
Well, I can't disagree with either of you because I really enjoyed those as well. Let's talk about the ones that missed the mark. Diego, you mentioned Indeed. Were there others that you just thought, wow, you really wasted some resources there? Or what was that other idea that you had?
No, well, my expectations for Doritos it's always super high because they're usually very, very, very good executing. And I think the Matthew McConaughey spot, felt a little bit underwhelming. You're expecting something hilarious and really like thought-provoking coming from Doritos, and it was just like, to me that was like one of the big disappointment. The other one was the one for SpaceX. If you're actually going to do an ad about putting people in space, you got to go all out. And even though another super good celebrity director that was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, I just wish they just would have gone like, that's the type of thing, at least from me, I really wanted to see, like, really, we're going to actually send a civilian to space? Like, how big are we going to make that? And I thought, even though the production quality of the spot is really good, I don't think a lot of people got that. I don't know, that might just be me.
Yeah, that one did a lot of interesting pre-publicity because I think that's to benefit a children's charity. Like you go in, you make a donation, and you could be selected.
Right.
Yeah, so you could be selected. So I think in some ways, I don't know if you didn't see that pre-publicity, if you got that even with that spot.
And that's very important. Absolutely right. You're going to spend the money to put an ad on the Super Bowl. You better be damn sure that message is going to go across. And there were so many disconnects on that thing for me. And this is completely coming from a creative standpoint. The Ford logo on the thing, at first I thought it was like, oh my God, really another Fantastic Four movie? Why? Because it looked like a Fantastic Four ad. And the St. Jude's thing that had the super at the end, and even though it was explained, a disconnect also. So like I literally had to do what you did. I had to go online and research. It's like, what was that about? So I think the message could have been clearer. So yeah, Doritos and that one. I'm not saying they were bad because really, to be honest with you, most of the spots were very good.
Yeah,
better years, fully.
Yeah,
but,
completely.
But from a messaging standpoint, I think those two were just like. Yeah.
Agreed. Carey, how about you?
Yeah, I actually want to talk a little bit more about that the Doritos 3D spot with Matthew McConaughey. You can trace that one back to the creative brief and understand how it came to light, right? And it didn't. I agree with Diego. It didn't necessarily have the payoff that we were kind of all hoping for, but in spite of that, what I keep thinking about is that okay, you have a 3D chip, and you're basically showing, hey, when you feel flat, that means things aren't going right? Well, Doritos' core product is a flat chip. So I was kind of trying to figure out exactly, is that the best way to kind of be benefit focused, right? Is it to take on the industry of chips that are all in the same category that you also own in the same category? I just, to me, there probably could have been a different way to really get to the idea of it's 3D rather than focusing on the negativity of the flatness, right? Which we all know, I think everyone's had a regular Dorito and it's just fine flat as well. So, I wasn't really sure that was strategically the smartest way to go. And then another one that also comes to light, and it's not that I disliked the ad. I believe it was Cadillac, but correct me if I'm wrong, but it was the Edgar Scissorhands spot.
Yes.
I think it was Cadillac was the payoff. And
yes.
I grew up watching Edward Scissorhands as well. I have a little bit of a affiliation to that and nostalgia to it as well. So it's not that I disliked it, and it was clever. He got in the car, and now all of a sudden he can drive a car. But to me, Cadillac, you just put out a self-driving car. Like this is the first time anyone's seeing this, right? I just think there was a bigger way to do that than to just say now somebody like who has scissor hands can drive the car, right? It's a much bigger benefit. So, to me, it got a little lost in let's make a Super Bowl commercial rather than saying we really have something cool to go talk about. Now let's talk about it in a way that's relevant. So those were two that stood out to me.
I liked the Edward Scissorhands spot because again, like you, Carey, it's like one of my favorite movies and everything. Again, Timothée Chalamet playing Edward Scissorhands. That kid does not come cheap. Winona Ryder actually doing the voiceover. But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go there, like go there harder.
Yeah.
And dude, missed opportunities. I kept thinking yesterday. It was like we saw so much Paramount Network driving force. I would have loved to see like a QB ad saying like, "Sorry, we messed up." That would have been great. Like, Paramount, and then just like a little 20-second ad being like, we'll be back.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, as we think about kind of the entire day and the things that we saw, let's talk about letter grades. Carey, if you were to give a letter grade for the entire Super Bowl commercial experience, what would you give it?
I'm going to give them a B, and I think I'm being forgiving. I think it's impossible to remove what we know the challenges were that went into making this even happen this year. So automatically, the effort does get you more than it would in the past. So I think I would give it a B, but I do think we are getting a little bit stuck. I think this year it probably was about can we get it done versus are we really evolving how we're using this medium for the future? Because I do think we're going to hit a point where we're going to keep, those younger audiences are going to want it to be more about how are you interacting with my life in a very genuine way. So I'll give them a B for that. There were some very standout ads that I thought were done very well, and there were some that were very forgettable that we didn't talk about here.
Sounds good. All right, a B from Carey. Diego, where are you?
I'm a B+. I really like the theming of this positive message and this sense of it's not as bad. I mean, it is, but at least take this couple of hours to put yourself in a place that's better. So that lightheartedness, I liked it. It was packaged in a weird game, in a super weird halftime show. Like I've never seen so many like virally like Richard Pryor memes come up immediately after that halftime show. It's like, how didn't he see that coming? It's like literally the same outfit. So that cracked me up. But yeah, B+. I think it was super refreshing to see a more positive, note coming from advertisers.
Yeah, I think given the year, depending on who you're a fan of, the game, it was nice to. I don't think people really had as big Super Bowl parties like they did, so I think it was a nice chance to reflect and laugh and think and all the things that we want people to experience as advertisers. So, well, thank you guys for your feedback and your insights and the behind the scenes details, Diego. Everyone, thanks for joining us for this edition of GDC Live, and save the date. Join us on March 18th, where we'll be talking about experiential marketing. How do you get somebody to stop, engage, and act in the time of a pandemic? But until then, if you want to learn more about GDC, you could go to our website at gdc-co.com or reach out to Beth Womack at bwomack@gdc.com. Beth is still taking this day as apparently a national holiday, but we will catch her on the next one. And thank you all for being with us. We'll see you next time.